Good evening, all. Welcome to the 40th session of the CENTA webinar series for teachers. Today's session, as you already know, is going to focus on the art of questioning. Why do we ask questions in class? Who are asking these questions? When should the questions be asked? Is there a good time to ask questions? How are questions being asked? What is the purpose of giving a question paper? Do questions follow a taxonomy? Over the course of the next hour or so, we are going to answer some of these questions. And like always, we have a very special facilitator with us, Ms. Prachi Lahiri. Welcome, Prachi, ma'am. Wonderful to have you with us today. Just a quick introduction. Prachi ma'am teaches history, civics, and democratic politics in middle school and high school at National Public School, HSR Layout in Bangalore. She was the national subject topper of the middle school social studies subject track in CENTA TPO, which is the Teaching Professionals Olympiad 2016. She's currently pursuing her post-graduation in international education from University of Nottingham, United Kingdom. She's done her bachelor's from Lady Sri Ram College, Delhi University, and her master's and BA degree from Indira Gandhi National Open University. She has attended a variety of workshops and conducted the same for the enrichment of other teachers. She started a wing for sustainable development and environmental protection in National Public School HSR, which is a school, and she calls it the Green Brigade. She works closely with children for spreading awareness about sustainable development and environment protection. She's an avid reader, an expert swimmer, and follows a strict yoga regime regularly. Welcome once again, ma'am. Wonderful to have you with us. And it's always wonderful when teachers from our own community, they come and facilitate sessions. So I mean, we are looking forward to an incredible session. The topic is interesting, and I'm sure all of us are super excited to hear you speak. Just a couple of quick points before you start, ma'am. So teachers, like always, the feedback form will be available from 5:45 onwards in the live chat section. And it's also going to be available on my CENTA, the same place that you used to register for the session. So please fill that feedback form in by 9 p.m. today so that we can email you your acknowledgement of participation by noon tomorrow. So please make sure that you fill that in, by 9 p.m. today. So that's one. Second is, you might remember that on Monday I'd mentioned that, we'll have another quiz today. So I've kept my promise. We have a quiz. So after the session is done, I request everyone to stay back for another 15-20 minutes. We have, a few exciting questions for you. I'm sure you'd love answering them. And, as was the case last time, we have scholarships for winners, scholarships to take up the Teaching Professionals Olympiad for winners. So that's going to happen at 6:10 maybe once Prachi ma'am once we're done with the session. So we'll start with the quiz then. So request all of you to stay back for another 15-20 minutes after the session. I'm sure it's going to be worth it, and all of you are going to have lots of fun. That's pretty much it from my side. Prachi ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Karthik, and welcome to this session. I hope you have your hot cup of tea beside you, because there are lots of starters coming up. Well, now that I have your attention with these appetizing starters, I'll begin my webinar with a small riddle wherein you will have to guess, who am I? And I'm in everybody's mind when confused. I'm asked most frequently, favorite tool of an educationist, friend of the curious cats, politicians are scared of me when used in democracy. I precede the answers. I am a question. And so welcome to the art of questioning. And you might wonder, we ask questions every day. It's a thing that we live with. So why do we have to learn the art of questioning? It is so because it is not something that we are born with. There are many ways of asking questions. Just like there are many ways of making tea. Some are known for their flavor, some are known for their strength. There are many ways of asking a question. The timing, the language, the matter, the content, everything matters while asking a question. You can make or break a student with your questions. So it is time that we focus and we see how we can build on our strategies in improving our questioning, because it is a skill and it can be developed. It is not something that people are born with. We can work on it, we can develop a framework for it, and we can come up with strategies that can make us a better person who can ask questions to the children. And this is not only for the students, but also for the parents. It matters a lot how we ask the question and also when we ask the question. So, why do teachers ask questions? And it is one of the best way to start an interaction. In any parties, you will see we start with, so where are you from? Or even in a day-to-day life, we start a conversation mainly with a question. So in a class, we use it to generate interest. And here, let me tell you, I will be using social sciences examples prolifically. Most of the things that I will explain will be through examples of social sciences, which you can apply it in your own field regarding your mastery of your own content. So when I say to generate interest, now suppose I'm going to start a concept called media and democracy, and I can start it either in a way that what is media, what is democracy, or I can say, what is the connection between an elephant, the most powerful prime minister of our country, and the media? Now, people can understand if there was a connection between the prime minister and democracy, but from where did this elephant come from? You have already grabbed the attention of your students by putting the elephant in the middle. So you have to generate interest through your questioning method. The second thing that we can do is check prior knowledge. Do my children know what is democracy? Do they really understand the meaning of a government for the people, by the people, and of the people? Do they know what is mass media? So we have to check their prior knowledge, the foundation on which we will be keeping the new bricks. So it is imperative that we know that what is their level right now, and questioning is a very effective tool. And to assess the progress. Have we really been able to deliver what we had come in the class for? Are there missing links? Where can we give some more explanation? Or where can an experiment be effective? We can gauge all these things through questions. Now, you must be wondering, the teacher left us hanging. She did not tell me the story. So the story goes like this of Indira Gandhi, elephant, and media. So the story is 14th July, 1977. Post-emergency, Indira Gandhi has been wiped out. Nobody likes her after emergency. She's a draconian lady. Everybody is maintaining a distance from her. She is sitting alone in one of Darjung Road bungalow, and she gets a news that in Bihar, there have been people, Dalit people, who have been massacred by upper caste people in that village, and the ruling party is completely apathetic towards it. She decides to make a visit there. People are saying there is no way you can reach it because it's monsoon time. There are no good roads there. It's a very small village called Belchi in the interiors of Bihar. You cannot reach there. She said, I'll go by train. Says the train doesn't go till Belchi. Says, I'll go by jeep. So she undertakes the journey and she's accompanied by one young journalist. She goes there, she gets into the jeep. On her way, the jeep gets stuck in the mud and she can't go any further. And she's 60 plus that time. And one of the villagers who were accompanying her from the railway station to Belchi said, the only thing that can go there is an elephant. Should I call the mahout? And she says, yes. Now imagine Mrs. Gandhi riding on an elephant at the age of 65 in the thunderous night and reaching Belchi. For the villagers in Belchi, she was like the goddess coming there. And she said, I'm not here to give a speech. I have come here to meet you. And the journalist is clicking photographs, and he's so emotional, he once shouts, Indira Gandhi ki jai. And she just smiles at him benevolently. The next day, the scoop is in the newspaper. It is everywhere that the ruling government is apathetic, and Mrs. Gandhi is there as the guardian of the Dalits. Now, the same lady who had killed free media is resurrected because of media. People think she's the one, the only one who can listen and give good governance. She's elected back to power. So that is how you create interest through questions. Now, in a day, we have 9 periods or 8 periods in a school. And out of that, we take at least 4 or 5 periods. Take a guess, how many questions do you ask in a day? And it can vary from many things. Have you done your homework? How are you doing today? Did you write the date? Did you fill the index? Or what is the relation between free democracy and free and fair elections? These can be as difficult and analytical questions, or it can be as easy as, how are you doing today? So the answer is, in a day, a teacher asks 200 to 300 questions. And in a lifetime, or in a career lifetime, close to 2 million questions. And the next question is something for us teachers to analyze. CBSE asks the students to master 10 subjects, 3 languages, 3 sciences, pure sciences, 2 math paper, 2 social sciences, computer science. Imagine the number of questions the students are facing every day. And now that we know the problem, we know that something needs to be done. What do we do? And my first suggestion to you is create an environment where the mind is without fear. And these are the famous lines from Rabindranath Tagore's poem. And what does it mean where the mind is without fear in the class? It means create an environment which encourages students to ask questions. Make it stress-free. Make it motivating enough so that they engage in a dialogue. Because time and again, research has shown that children learn only when they are happy. And the fundamental 3 A's, affection, attention, and appreciation, helps in creating this environment. And the second line of the poem is equally important, and that is, and the head is held high. What does that mean? Where the dignity of the child is not compromised, even if they give a wrong answer. What do we do when a child gives a wrong answer? How do we maintain the dignity of the child? Because if you snub, once beaten, twice shy, they will never find the guts or the courage to stand up and take that dare. What if I give a wrong answer? What if my thought process is not correct? So here, both the things are very important, that we have to create an environment where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Now, in a class, the most common way to introduce any concept is the IRF form. It is called the initiation, response, and feedback. Now, Initiation, as the word suggests, you initiate the topic, you initiate the concept. For example, you have just finished the rise of the medieval kingdoms in South India, where you have discussed the Cholas, the Rashtrakutas, the Chalukyas, and now we move from the southern states to the northern India. And we have to start the coming of the Afghans, the Turks, the Mongols, and we initiate. So what happened after Harshavardhana's death? What was the political and social conditions in India? And as you are asking the questions, the students keep responding, which is the response part. And you are listening and you are giving a feedback. And the feedback can be, if they've given a right answer, fantastic, excellent. Or if they have given a wrong answer, think some more. Are you really thinking what you're saying? Or, well, wait, let me hear the others, what they have to say. So it is known as the initiation, response, feedback. And this is how we generally start a concept. It's a very regular way to do so. And you will realize that in this format, most of the questions, 9:1, questions are being asked by the teacher and only 10% are being asked by the students. So now that we have started, we have introduced the starter and all that thing is done, we go to the next day. And where do we begin the day from? We begin it from let's see if children remember what I have taught. So I will ask questions to gauge how much they remember, and that will act as something that is a good revision. Really, were they paying attention yesterday? So once I have a complete recap of what I was doing yesterday, I will start I'll deliver my next lecture. That is the idea behind that. Begin with a recap. Now, what happens when I am starting my lecture with knowledge-based, memory-based questions? Suppose I have gone there and I have started asking, who were the belligerents of the Second Battle of the Rain? Who was the winner? What was the outcome? Why did the person who really lost the war? And over a period of time, we all know that in a class of 30 students, only 7 to 8 will actually have gone and read the chapter and revised and come. 5 or 6 added to that would have remembered actually what you have taught. The rest, their hearts are pounding that may the teacher not ask me the questions. And I have seen in class observation that it's almost like the teacher is standing for an orchestra recital where she's saying, now you answer, and now you answer. And the students who are not able to answer, they are made to remain standing. They're not allowed to sit down. So they are standing and they are observing that others are able to answer, whereas I'm not able to answer. And the teacher is not very pleased with it. The teacher might have asked, why haven't you gone back and revised? Didn't I tell you that we will have a recap session? And when they are unable to answer, the others are standing, ma'am, can I, may I? And those 5 or 6 who have actually done the studies, they are making the others somewhere comfortable. What happens is we have evolved as a species, and our prefrontal cortex in our brain is very dominant. Wherever it senses threat, it closes down. And then it just shuts down. And then we are trying to go undercover. And I'm sure when you are taking the first session, the recap session, and you are asking questions one after the other, the children who are low in confidence or they have not really memorized, they are slowly trying to hide behind somebody just in case, or they have lowered their eyes just so that the teacher's eyes doesn't meet their eyes. We have shut them off. And when we are satisfied enough that Yes, I have had a good recap session and I can start my class. I have actually shut them off. They are no longer listening. And what they are doing is, thank God I was not asked to stand up and answer. And they're still reeling under that fear. So instead of that, those same recap questions, if I say, so yesterday we started a chapter and we learnt about the second battle of the rain, in which we saw that Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad of Ghori had a fight and there was a war. Prithviraj Chauhan lost, Muhammad Ghori won, and with that we see that there was a new, they laid the foundation of the Mamluk dynasty or the slave dynasty. So, do you remember what was the cause, or why did Prithviraj Chauhan lose? Because the war just before that, he won. And it is given in the book that Prithviraj Chauhan lost because he was using bulky elephants, whereas Muhammad of Ghori was using swift Arab horses. We read that, and now we are teaching our children also the same thing. And so I say that, but do you remember that in the previous class we said that the Cholas used elephants, and elephants proved them the deciding factor for them to win all the battles. They were so effective in using elephants that from Tamil Nadu, the Cholas could conquer up to Ganga. And that is why they took the name of Gangaikonda. So if one place elephants were effective in winning, how did it become the factor for losing? Can there be anything else? And with the same use of elephants, he won the war previous one. That time also he had used elephants. So what happened in the second one? And I'm sure you have told them the story of Prithviraj Chauhan. You will see you are getting better answers. They are thinking now. They are saying, ma'am, and you will get answers like this. Ma'am, he should have depended more on alliance. He should have been more diplomatic with his friends and the kings around. Or, they're even better, he should have focused on the national matters more than personal matters. Now look at where you have taken by introducing the class with an analytical questions instead of a knowledge-based questions. Now they have been transported into a higher order thinking level. And you have also achieved your goal of getting a quick recap. Haven't you told who were the belligerents in the war? Yes, you have. Didn't you tell them that why did they win, who won, who lost? Yes, you have. But you have also taken them a step forward in analyzing. So my suggestion is that begin the class with analytical questions instead of knowledge-based questions. Now please count 3 seconds in your head. And now count 10 seconds in your head. Do we give even 10 seconds for the children to answer before we move on to the other child? We know the answers, but they need the time to think. There are many questions being asked, like why was Indian history taught to the children in a very Delhi-centric way? If I were to give you that question. In my mind, it is very clear. I know the history, I know subject. I've been teaching it for last 10 years. I can come up with the question. And I'm impatient if I don't get my answer in 3 seconds. But for those who don't have this background, you might have to join the points together. Why did we teach our children a very Delhi-centric history? The answer is we had just emerged from a partition. Vallabhbhai Patel was struggling to unite the India. There were 550 plus princely states that need to be united. And it was essential for the government that time to give a history that was center rather than regional oriented. But thank God they asked these questions. Now history is being put in a different way to the children. So going back, that 10 seconds is the minimum time we should give to the children to answer their question. And this period where you ask the question and they answer is known as the wait time. You have to give them wait time. And when I asked the teachers, or we tried to reflect, 2-3 questions came up, answers came up very clearly. First, we don't have the time. We have a definite plan of work which we have to finish given periods, and we have to stick by the time. Many teachers said, it didn't even occur to me that I have to wait. I was never taught like that. And I don't teach like that. So bring in sensitivity, sometimes exchange perspectives, remember your childhood, and then let's start teaching. It will make an area where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Now, who is asking the questions? Now, in our class, we generally see that the questions are given at the end of the book. The teachers come, they say, you have to answer these questions. The answers are given in this part of the book. Please write it down, memorize, and take the answers. There is no opportunity for them to think. We don't give them that opportunity. On top of that, we have marks that are dominating our questions, not thoughts. Generally, in the board years, we say in last 10 years question paper, this question has appeared at least 6 times. Please memorize this. If you just go on Google, you will see ready-made question and answers given. All that the children have to do is just memorize them. So if we are not even giving them the opportunity or the avenue to ask these questions, are we really developing critical thinking in our children? And these are the children who will be making the next generation national education plan. These are the children who will be developing the education for their children. So isn't it our responsibility to develop critical thinking? And here I would say that you all know that the questions are based by the board, the book, the publisher, the syllabus, and the curriculum. And my next point is going to take you a little by surprise. And that is why I will give you 2 robust examples to see if it really holds true. We need to question the books, the syllabus, and the curriculum. You might think, are teachers empowered enough to do so? Let's find out. In our small, limited way, can we do it? You all have read, now I'm starting my example. You all have read about Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq was called a confused genius. Now let's weigh the 2 terms, confused and genius. Now there's nothing wrong in being confused. Everyone can be confused. Confusion is a very light word. It's a very universal word, and anybody can be confused. But genius, it's a very powerful adjective. It's a very positive adjective. Genius. It's something that really eulogizes an individual. And let's see if the term confused genius really suits Muhammad bin Tughlaq, based through 4 of the things that he did, 4 of the main projects that he undertook. The first, he got an idea that Delhi is vulnerable to the Mongol attack, and he needs to shift the capital from Delhi to Karnataka in Devagiri, or today Daulatabad. And Instead of saying that the nobility and the officials will move, he said, the entire population of Delhi pack up and move. In those days, in the medieval India, where the only method of transportation was bullock carts and horse carts. There were aged people, there were children, there were women of all age, physical condition. They were forced to move across hundreds of miles. Half of them perished on the way. When they reached here, he realized that Delhi is now completely exposed to the Mongol attack and it is losing its glory. And he also realized that people are suffering. So he ordered them to move back, causing the death of thousands of people, and Delhi never got its glory back. Can we call him a genius? Second, he ordered token currency, as in copper coins would be given equal weightage to the silver coins. Again, no methodology of how it will be implemented. So what does he do? Orders and then sits back. People started minting counterfeit coins in their homes. The entire economy is brought to grinding halt. Nobody is able to trade. Foreign trade came to a grinding halt. Peasants, artisans, traders, they suffered. When he realized, he thought, let me bring it back. So then he had to give silver coin in lieu of copper coins. The economy was completely ruined. Third, he sent an army of thousands of men, able-bodied men, to the expedition in Northwest to conquer China. Again, no planning. Most of them, where one life is precious, thousands of young, able-bodied men died. And the last, he increased the taxation on the most fertile land of the country, Ganga, Yamuna, Doab, at a time when there was scarcity of rain and ruthless collection of taxes. People were so scared of the soldiers collecting taxes, they fled their homes. They started living in forests. Again, hundreds of people lost their lives. Economy came to a grinding halt. Can we name him a confused genius? Is it not time to question these? Now, you will realize I have explained those same 4 points, those 4 projects, but now I have set it in a question framework. If I went to the class and I said, today we are going to do the projects of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and these are 1, 2, 3, 4. They are passive recipients of this knowledge. They are not evaluating. They are not analyzing. But when we put a question and then we say, can you really say this? Then they are thinking. Then there is an active learning which is going on. I'll give you another example where we can contend with the syllabus and curriculum. Now, children love to prove the others wrong, especially the teachers. If any time the children are able to get a flaw of a teacher, they are like, yeah, moment that time. Why don't we exploit it? Instead, what we say, we give in the questions, we give a statement and we say, justify this statement. Not critically analyze, justify. Or we ask them, prove the theorem. It is already given and they have to prove it is right, instead of proving it is wrong. Now, with another question, example, I will tell you how you can create interest and make them think through questioning. All those who know about Harappan civilization, we know that one of the biggest or most celebrated reason for the decline of Harappan civilization is the rise in aridity or dryness in that area. It said that there was mindless deforestation, the rains really went down, and the water table receded, and thus they started abandoning Harappan civilization. And several research papers have also been written on it. So just show them this picture and say that, hey, prove this wrong. Prove this aridity theory wrong. The answer is right in front of you. Can you prove it wrong? Can you prove it wrong? I'll give you 10 seconds. Okay, so I'll give you the answer now. I wish it was interactive. So you can see the drainage here. A civilization which was so meticulous in its town planning, do you think would have not taken the rainfall into account when they made their drainage? The drainage is as much suited for today's rainfall. The depth of the well. If the water table was really high, the depth of the well would have been shallow, but it is as deep as the water table that was 100 years back when it was actually excavated. So if the drainage system doesn't show that there is a lack of rainfall because the drainage system was meant to drain out rainwater also, but it doesn't show that there was a huge rainfall, then the drainage would have been bigger. So you have given that exact same explanation, but now you have challenged them. You have asked them, you have developed that critical thinking that, hey, look beyond. So the next thing, which is very, very important, and I would say the crux of this webinar, is put some effort in framing the questions that are worth asking. This planning needs to be in-depth. This planning needs to be done when the lesson plan is being made. Which questions to ask at the initiation process? What are the questions that I will ask during the class? And what are the questions that I will ask the children at the end? Again, there has to be a balance. We, the teachers, are always playing a balancing act. So we have to spend time and we have to be open in the questions that are impromptu. So we have to broaden our knowledge base. Thorough research, just by reading the chapter that is given in the book, will not suffice. We have to go into the latest research that is being done. I got this when I was reading some of the latest research papers on Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. So you have to have planning, thorough knowledge, and time spent on framing questions that are worth asking, that will light up that bulb in the minds of the children and develop critical thinking. Now, how do we develop this? What is the framework that we have? How do we classify questions? So from now, I will be talking about how to develop your lesson plan and how to write the questions there. So there has to be a good balance of two types of questions. First, the closed questions, and the second is the open questions. Closed questions are those that have a yes or a no answer, a right or a wrong answer. Who are the belligerents of Second Battle of the Rain? Muhammad of Ghori, Prithviraj Chauhan. There cannot be any other. Open questions. What is the relation between media and democracy? Can media always decide the outcome of an election? How far are the fundamental rights really guaranteed by the Constitution? What is that fundamental right that ensures every other fundamental rights? So there are closed questions and there are open questions. Open questions, as you can know by the examples, are analytical based, higher order thinking. You have to evaluate, and there has to be a connection from the micro to the macro. And I have given some of the examples. You can take your time and delve upon it. Is there ever a just war? What were the causes that led to the World War II? Can media influence the kind of leaders we choose? Who won the US elections in 2005? Here, there has to be one answer. Can architecture be a symbol of power and position of the ruling elite? Who built Red Fort? There has to be only one answer. Shah Jahan. What was the material used? Red sandstone. You cannot write marble there. It is wrong. But can architecture be a symbol of power? Definitely. And it opens many gates. Why do we see that the victor always demolishes the architecture of the vanquished? Why have the architecture evolved over a period of time? What the things that influence? So when you ask open-ended questions, you create a place where thinking comes. But if you add only open-ended questions, children will get bored. There has to be a mix. There has to be a quick, rapid-fire questions that are needed to excite the children. Yes, no. So there has to be a balance between open-ended questions and closed-ended questions. Now, Bloom's taxonomy is an excellent framework to design the questions. And here we see that the pyramid has been inverted, and we need to spend, at least we should open our class with the ones on the top, where you start creating, evaluating, and this can happen from previous knowledge or just by thinking on the spot. And remembering should be there at the closing time of the class. There has to be some questions that will tell you whether the whole class have really got you. Those are called the hinge questions. Quick questions to see whether everybody has got the concept, at least the basic concept that you wanted to show. And here is a grid based on Bloom's taxonomy, which I will go through. What are the kinds of questions that you ask for knowledge-based? Who? Who won the Battle of Terrain? What was the outcome of Battle of Terrain? Where was it fought? When was it fought? So it's something that you have to really memorize. Second, comprehension. Retell in your own words what was the outcome of the Second Battle of Terrain. Now, application is where things starts becoming the use of the knowledge. Knowledge is like raw data, and how you use that data starts from application. For example, we know sugar, like I'm giving you a chemistry example. Sugar is sweet. Let me go back to my social sciences. It is better. So application, how is free media an example of a democratic setup? How is media related to democracy? Why is it significant to have free media in a functional democracy? Fourth, analysis. Now, here you will see the word classify, categorize comes. Now, for example, I was doing a chapter called The Night Witches, and it is based on young women, fighter pilots from Russia in the Second World War. And the Germans hated them because they were so good with their bombing strategies. They called them night witches. So before the class, I said, take out a post-it or take out a sheet of paper and just write down the words that come to your mind when you hear the word witches. And they wrote dark, evil, powerful, old hags with cauldron. So anything that is conniving, those words came for witches, and said, now write down the words that come to your mind when you hear the word wizard. Wizard of Oz, men with power, experts, agile, all those things. And I said both have the same powers, magical powers. But do you see how society perceives a woman with power and a man with power? And the chapter is about bringing out that gender inequality. So just by that kind of an analysis, where you categorize or you classify even English words, you bring out what is not so apparent in the curriculum. And then synthesis. What would you predict from? Let's say, whenever you see that there is a heady mix of nationalism with religion, what would you predict? And time and again, we have seen that it leads to dictatorship. Let's take example of Hitler. Religion, the Jews were sidelined, rise of Nazism. Let's take Saddam Hussein, sidelining of the Kurds, again, dictatorship. Ziaul Haq. All of them we see wherever nationalism and religion is brought together, there is a rise of a dictator. And what ideas can you add to? So how would you create a design, a new democracy? Let's say there are certain flaws in our democracies. How would you create an ideal democracy? And the last one, it is the evaluation. Do you agree? Do you agree that Muhammad bin Tughlaq was a confused genius? What do you think about the aridity, the explanation of the downfall of the Harappans? So with that, we go to the next section, which is when should a teacher ask the questions? And timing is very vital. First, you will see that when you are doing a class on Mughal, suddenly the children have started talking about kebabs and tikkas, and some girls are saying that I'm going to buy an anarkali suit. Now, yes, those are the outcomes of once upon a time Mughal era, but we have a curriculum. Please come back. So periodically restate your goal that, okay, that's fine, but can we focus on the architecture of Mughal era? Or it is important to ask questions at the end of the discussion. When the discussion has finished, we have to know whether or not we were able to deliver and put across what the objective of the lesson was. And questions give us a handle or a very clear method to say, yes, I have been able to do that, or no, I need to put in more effort. I have to redo my teaching techniques and identify the areas of clarification. If you see that those hinge questions where the entire class is quiet, you know you have to revisit that concept. Till now, I was focusing on the joy of learning. And now I will focus on the practical part of our classes. That is, when the students need to take an exam, they have to take an exam. And our examination is based on rote learning. So how do we prepare them? And what kind of questions do we ask to ensure that they have, that the whole information has really sunken in? So our memory is like a funnel. The widest thing is called the sensory memory. There are 3 types of memory. It has a wide area to cover, and the retention is the tiniest, and especially with the digital natives. Now, we are up against a generation which is we are not up against the generation, we are up against internet. So on that same screen, in which we are trying to deliver a lesson. They have their WhatsApp on one side and they have their games going on, and we are trying to deliver a lesson. So how do we do that? The second is the working memory. So we have to, that has again a limited capacity to new information, and we have to ensure that we capture that working memory through handouts, textbooks, and make it as simple as possible. And long-term memory, it is the narrowest part of the funnel, and it has the maximum retention. Now you have to understand that unattended information is lost. For example, just close your eyes and tell me, what is the color of my earphones? It was right in front of you throughout. You can open your eyes. You have to use your questions to hold their attention. Sometimes I begin the class with, so do you still play PUBG or Fortnite? And those children who are in their comfort zone playing, their ears and eyes will suddenly perk up. What did the teacher say? And then they'll say, ma'am, PUBG is banned. Fortnite, we 8th graders don't play anymore. They are for children. And they will tell you so many things that, ma'am, we play like Call of Duty and Among Us and all those things. And then when you have their attention, start delivering the class. That is your hook. Make the questions relevant. For example, if I were to ask you, what were you doing on 14th March 2020? I don't know. Very vague. But if I make it relevant, if I put it in context and I say, what were you doing on the last working day before the pandemic when the school shut down? You will have loads of memory. Oh, I was invigilating in so-and-so school. I was correcting the papers. I was preparing my lesson plan for the next year. There will be so many relevant things that you will remember. So make these questions relevant so that the students can remember. Even dates they can remember. If you start, what do you think Friday the 13th is really ominous? And many will say yes, some will say no. Said, what about Sunday the 13th? And there will be like, Sunday the 13th? Never heard of it. Said, year 1919, Sunday, April the 13th, Jallianwala Bagh took place. And then they are like, oh, so they will remember Sunday, April the 13th, Jallianwala Bagh took place. So you have to make it relevant. And in an online class, what you can do, these are the 2 quick tips. Don't teach. They all have their books. Tell them, read the chapter and write down the questions. You can make a Kahoot quiz. You can make a PPT on the questions, and you can share it with the class. Half of the class will be answering the questions that you are. They can be in a small group. And when they are getting the opportunity to make the questions, you will see that the language is way easier for the other students to understand, and they can connect with that way better. So sometimes give the children an opportunity to ask the questions. And when the students answer, prove if you find that the answer is inaccurate. For example, I put the words Panchayati Raj on the screen. And I said, what comes to your mind when you see the word Panchayati Raj? And one 6th grader said, ma'am, definitely monarchy. And I'm like, we are not conditioned to think monarchy and Panchayati Raj. And said, I probed further. What makes you think that monarchy and this is related? And she said, ma'am, the word Raj has to be related with Raja. And I was like, wow, you're thinking logically. And obviously there were other students who came up and said they knew, they had an idea what panchayat was all about. So instead of saying no, just ask, why do you think like that? And respond positively to the correct part of the answer. The child may not be able to answer the question completely correctly, even if they have given a part of it as correct. Appreciate that. That yes, that word Raj actually also meant rule, and rule of whom. So you got that partly right, that yes, Panchayati Raj. Raj is a way of governance, ruling, and you can connect it to that. And suppose the last one, embed your example in a question. Suppose you have asked the question, describe the law of demand and supply. And the student is blank. Obviously, he was not paying attention, or he did not get it at all. So you just ask, child, where will you buy your next phone? Online, if you get it for 20,000 rupees, or go to the store and buy it if you were getting it for 25,000 rupees? Ma'am, online, because it is cheaper. Very good. And immediately you will see there are, ma'am, my parents wait for the Amazon sale. And so many examples will come running to you. Yes, we also wait for a sale. So do you think that demand increases when there is a price drop? Yes, ma'am. So what is the connection between the price and demand? Ma'am, when the price is less, the demand goes up. Absolutely, you're fantastic. So when you have, and then if you are the seller, when would you like to sell? When the price is 20,000 or 25,000? Ma'am, 25,000. So what is the link? So you have your examples, embed your questions embedded in your example, and the absorption is way more. So we are almost done. And a quick recap: create a stress-free environment, make it a happy place to learn, give children the time to think before they answer, at least 10 seconds, ask analytical questions in the beginning, ask knowledge-based or memory-based questions in the end of the class, and trigger long-term memory with association of previous knowledge. And with that, I come to an end of this slide, and I'm open to questions. So Karthik, do I stop sharing my screen now?
Yeah, I've just removed your screen from the stream, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you once again for an exceptional session, ma'am. Really good. I'm just fishing for any questions that might have come in the comment section. Most of them are actually messages from people who who were saying that they absolutely love the session. So yeah, I mean, and there are no questions. It's all comments. So Richie ma'am is saying it was an excellent and highly informative session which had multiple teaching skills being shared through the medium of questioning. So
thank you. The whole point was to ask questions.
There's lots and lots of thank you messages. Amazing session. Thanks, ma'am. Yeah, I mean, there aren't many questions actually. All of them observations. Yeah, there is a question. It's
okay.
Anam SSC, and he's asking, could you suggest some other ways to develop creativity in asking open-ended questions?
Firstly, to ask open-ended. I can hear my own echo.
I think it's fine, ma'am. I think it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So the basic thing to develop critical thinking is to read new research papers. Go to Google Scholar, type in the keywords that you are going to teach, and you will see, and you can read the latest ones. You can give the time to 2019 onwards, and you will get latest research done on that paper. So once you have you might not have the access to the complete article or the research, but at least the abstract will hold the essence of their research. So that is one of the very good ways that I have found in developing critical thinking, because you get to know how and what is being done in your subject.
And Mr. Chandan Kundu has a question, and he's asking the questions of literature would be as social. I mean, so he's trying to build a parallel. I think he teaches
Okay.
literature, so he's asking if the questions that you use for social sciences, can that be used? Similar questions can be used for literature as well.
Definitely, definitely. So that night witches is actually a literature question. So just try to develop sensitivity, because I have seen there are sentences even given in the, I can hear my own echo actually, and it's disturbing.
Can you try removing the earphones, ma'am?
Sure.
And then and just yeah. Yeah.
So what was the question again? Sorry.
Literature and social sciences.
Yeah. So even now, and I'm talking about good publishing houses here, very highly recommended publishing houses, they have in their social sciences and literature books sentences like, in chapters like markets around us, where in families where both the parents are working, they prefer to go to the malls because it's a one-stop shop. So I asked those children, so how many of your fathers are stay at home? And there is a giggle and a like, how can fathers stay at home and not work? And says, and how many of your mothers are stay at home and they don't work? And you would see some of them, their hands are going up and they're not very confident, and said, so early in the morning your mother is served bed tea, and then she decides to go to the spa, and then all the meals are served to her, and then they are like, no, but she does this and she helps me in my studies and she is cooking. And then I said, but right now you just conformed to the books writing that where both the parents are working, that means your mother is also working. Then why did you raise your hand when I said raise your hands when if your mother is not working? And then there is that, it hits them on their face that, oh, I should have questioned this. So yeah, so you can definitely use it to create critical thinking even in literature.
Sure. Interesting question. Miss Rashi Chatterjee is asking, what do you think of impact versus intent of a question? So she might ask a question with one intent, however, that may have a different impact on the listener. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Your intent is to develop critical thinking. The impact has to be to develop that. And if that intent has not been gained and the discussion is going into a completely different area and you have the time to delve in it, please go ahead and delve in it. And the impact, it can be only bad impact if you are not open to receiving that answer. If you are open to receive that answer and give it a critical thinking, analyze it, take everybody's feedback, the impact has to be good. And you will get your intent. There might be a circuitous route in getting the intent achieved, but you will achieve that intent.
And another interesting question, this time by Mr. Tarun Shobisa, and he's asking, how can we question a question? And is there something called a meta question?
Yes, we can definitely question a question. That example of Muhammad bin Tughlaq is the fantastic one. And I took it for this purpose only. There are so many questions, and they're all 5 markers that have been asked on what were the projects of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, or why do we call him a confused genius? And we should be open to say, yes, there is a meta question. We can question questions as well. Definitely.
And Mr. Srinivasulu has a concern, and he's asking, how can a teacher wait for like 10 seconds for each student before moving on to another in a period of 45 minutes? Is there any solution for this?
It might not be possible to wait for all students, and you need not. See, it is not that all students would require 10 seconds. So what I do is, now the children ask me, and trust me, Mr. Srinivasalu, that children are noticing. So it so happened once that I wanted to start the class with, everybody had to give each other an adjective. And the students gave me an adjective, ma'am, you are patient. And I said, and they had to justify why they were giving me giving each other that adjectives. And said, why did you give me that adjective? What makes you think I'm patient? Says, ma'am, you wait for us after asking a question. So you are being noticed. Secondly, you need not wait 10 seconds for every child. Some children will come out pat with an answer. There are only few who need that 10 seconds. And when you deny them that 10 seconds, you deny them that dignity as well. We are all experienced teachers. We know that in a class, maybe out of 30, there are these 5 or 6 of them who really struggle with comprehension. And it can be not because the way you teach, but because of language barriers as well. English might not be their primary language. So they deserve that 10 seconds. Others, they can quickly say, or they will say, ma'am, you ask the other person, I'll get back to you. When you keep doing this over and over and over, they get that confidence that I can take my time. And then when I raise my hand, ma'am will give me another chance to reply.
Sure.
So you need not keep 10 seconds for every child.
Sure. Moving on, Ms. Manorama K. Nair has a question, and she is asking, please suggest a few tips to encourage students from 10th grade to keep to be interested in studying social studies, especially geography.
Okay. First, those 3 A's: affection, attention, appreciation. These 3 A's goes a long way. And let me tell you, Ms. Nair, the 10th graders, they just look big. Inside, they are still that young children of only. And if you pay attention to what they are saying, they will feel free. They will approach you. There are so many students who say, ma'am, can I talk to you after the class? And it is so motivating as a teacher to hear their questions. And as I said, to keep them motivated, say that, prove me wrong. So our school is blessed to have a history teacher who gave this statement. Her name is Rupa ma'am, that what is not there in Mahabharat is not there in Bharat. So all her students started reading Mahabharat full throttle to prove wrong that there has to be something in Bharat which is not in Mahabharat. And the end result was everybody knew Devdutt Patnaik's Mahabharat in and out. So that is one way I would say, challenge them and then give them that motivation. So, yeah.
And Sandra James, ma'am, has another question, and she's asking, parents are helping children answer the probing questions when we ask them these questions during online classes. Do we need to change questioning strategies during, in an online setup?
Change is always welcome, and ask questions that will throw the parents also into a spinning or thinking arena. For example, if you're teaching math and you are teaching that this is the height and this is the shadow that it casts, and you will get to know what is the height of this. And then you say, and there is this Brihadeshwara temple made out of rock solid granite, and it casts no shadows. The architecture is such, it doesn't cast any shadow. How will you measure the height of the minaret, or how would you, the shikhara? So give some googlies to the parents as well.
And I think Ms. Kumari had a similar... Sure. Sure.
If you're teaching them the direction of wind or optics, tell them that the Lingaraja temple, the Jagannath Puri temple, the flag always flutters opposite to the direction of the wind. How? Find out. Or what was the optics like that the chakra, the Vishnu chakra, which is on top of the Jagannatha temple, everybody can see the complete chakra from 360-degree angle. How is it possible? Mix science, history, do some research.
And there's a question on a misconception that Ms. Komala Rekha Ralapalli has, and she's seeing question, ma'am. Children have the conceptual understanding that north is up, as it's seen through the maps. There's a momentary confusion about north and up.
Okay. Globes, I think, would really help in getting rid of this misconception that what is up and what is down. And Google Maps. So right now we are on all on online classes. So you can just take a Google Map, the Google 360-degree, all those things. Use technology to bust these misconceptions. Yeah.
And I think, so we're already at 11 minutes past 6, but
yeah.
We'll take one more question. There are lots of questions. We were saying that there are many questions coming in, but it's been a deluge of questions after that. But there's one more question, and probably, ma'am, we'll bring you back for another session. I'm sure all of us will definitely, there were around 600 of us watching the session live. So all of us super keen to have you back for another session. We'll definitely do that. But one last question for now. Ms. Sumita Sai is saying a class is a mixed bag of students, brilliant, average, as well as slow learners. As such, the same question will not trigger everyone. So a set of questions for introduction, conclusion. Would that work?
The question will not trigger everyone, definitely. So a set of questions for introduction, yes. During the planning of the lesson plan, you definitely have to have these sets of questions, what will be at the beginning and at the end and in the middle. You have to be open to impromptu questions from the children as well. There are so many times that and once that environment has been created where the students can ask you questions, when we are doing when you are doing a sensitive topic like gender, religion, with 10th graders, they will stump you with questions. And you have to be very sensitive, politically correct while answering them. And yes, so preparation of questions and different sets for different children, definitely. As I said, there has to be a good balance of closed and open-ended questions, so that everybody is interested. Some people are good in analysis, some are good in remembering. So there has to be a mixed bag, there has to be a balance. If you just focus on any one, you will lose out on your children's interest, definitely.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Srilata ma'am will definitely bring Prachi ma'am back for another session. So we'll definitely try and do that. Sure. So I think we'll move on to the next part. A couple of you asked for the feedback form to be posted again. We've done that. Please refer to it in the live chat section. You'll be able to find it now. And please fill that in by 9 p.m. so that we can send you your acknowledgement records by email by noon tomorrow. So as I said, we have a quiz for you, and I'm sure all of you are going to enjoy it. So what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen, and the rules are the same. It's going to be like last time. We will have we'll have 3 questions. You'll get 30 seconds to answer each question. It'll be on Mentimeter, so you'll need to go to www.menti.com, and also I'll share a code with you that you need to enter and enter your name, and then you'll see the questions coming in one after the other, and you need to answer the questions, and whosoever answers the questions most quickly, or who's the fastest at answering the questions, they'll get the prize. And there'll be 5 teachers need not be teachers. Anyone can join in. Who'd be winning. The person who gets the first position, the pole position, they'll get to take the CENTA Teaching Professionals Olympiad completely free of cost. And the 4 teachers after that, they'll get a scholarship of rupees 200 each. I am going to share my screen now. And
Karthik, can I share my email for further questions if somebody has further questions, or that's not allowed?
Sure, ma'am. Anyways, we'll be sending out an email tomorrow with the acknowledgement record. So I'll make a mention of your email in that, in the mail that goes out tomorrow. So we could do that there.
Thank you.
So sure, ma'am. So just give me a second, everyone, and yes. Okay. So is my screen visible
Yes.
to all of you? Great. So as you can see, you need to go to www.menti.com. That's the website. And I always say this, people who attended our sessions would know that everyone at CENTA is a big fan of Mentimeter. This is not a paid promotion. They don't pay us. I just like them a lot. And that's why I just keep using the platform and all in the sessions that I do. So yeah, I can, and so there you need to go to www.menti.com and you need to type in the code 3790065. 3790065.
675?
Yeah, 3790065.
065 3790065.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes, that's the code. It's I've also put that in the comments or the live chat section here. So I can see only 22 people right now. There are 340 of you live. So at least I'm hoping that at least 50, 60 or 100 of you join and and we play this together. So I'm just going to give you all a couple of minutes. I can see the numbers increasing. It's gone up to 49 now. So let's just wait for a couple of minutes before we get started. Okay. So the website is www.menti.com. It's menti.com, and the code that you need to type in is 3790065. 3790065. Okay, Nandini ma'am, great. It's 72 of us. Okay, so let's just get started, and all of you could, in case you're not able to take the first question, you could join in later as well. So as I said, answer fast to get more points. Miss Leela wants to introduce the concept of volcanoes to her class 5 students. Which option would be correct as the opening sentence? And the options are: let us explore volcanoes today, let us discover volcanoes today, let us examine volcanoes today, or let us learn about volcanoes today. So that's the question, and you have 13 more seconds to answer it. And I think 52 of you have answered the question now. The last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so let's see. Okay. Yeah, so most of you had said, let us explore volcanoes today, but that's not the correct answer. The correct answer is, let us learn about volcanoes today. So that's the correct answer. So I'll move on to the next question. Congratulations to all of you, got it right. I think we may see a leaderboard. Let me see. Yes, we do. And on top is Irene Karanjia. Oh, Prachi ma'am is in the second position. Shambhavi Jha, Meghna, Shweta. Great. So let's move on to the next question. And again, you have 30 seconds to answer this. If you answer quickly, you'll get more points than others. Which of the following types of tests is easy for a teacher to design, but difficult to evaluate reliably? Multiple choice question, which means a single correct answer. True or false, match the following, or an essay type question. So which of the following test types is easy for a teacher to design but difficult to evaluate reliably? So that's the question. Last 5 seconds. This one is a simple one, I guess. I think most of you should get this right. So yeah, essay. So most of you have answered essay, and that's also the correct answer. So let's see if the leaderboard has changed. Shambhavi ma'am is in. Oh no, it's Miss Neeru, followed by Miss Pradeepa, Miss Nagashweta, Miss Mamta Huja, and Miss Annie. So yeah, we've got the last question coming up now, and let's see how many of you can answer this correctly. From a sample of 3,000 employees, it was found that 30% had tea, 40% had coffee, 10% had both. How many employees had neither tea nor coffee? This is a simple one. Again, and you've got 20 seconds to answer. Rather 30. Now you've got 17 seconds to answer. So
I'm
3,000 employees.
I'm not taking the test.
Okay. Okay. So it's a bit, yeah. So most of you had answered 620, but 1,200 is the correct answer. So I suppose I think you needed a bit more time to work that out. But yeah. So yeah. So let's see how many of you, or rather, how's the leaderboard changed after this third question? And okay, so Miss Neeru is, at the pole position, and congratulations, Neeru ma'am, you get to take the TPO for completely free of cost. So, a big congratulations. I can't read the other. I can see the other names vaguely, but I guess all of you who are on, who are on Mentimeter can know your ranks. But the next in line are Miss Pradeepa B. Rai, Miss Nagashweta, Miss Shweta, and Miss Mamta Huja. Congratulations, ma'am. You'll get a scholarship of 200 rupees on TPO. And Neeru ma'am, of course, you get to take the TPO completely free of cost. Yeah, so this was just a sample of questions. I mean, Prachi ma'am has taken up the TPO in the past and she's aced it. And she also went to Dubai. So because she was the social studies subject topper, and she, teachers who've taken up the TP in the past, they would say that they loved the questions, and questions are super interesting out of the box, and they make you think. And it's just not subject knowledge; it's about the teaching practices. It's about pedagogy. It's about classroom communication and all of that. So if you like these questions, please go ahead and register for the TPO. The registrations are open on our website, CENTA.org. I'm also going to put the registration link in here. So please go ahead and register yourself. And this year TPO is special because it's very different, because till last year what used to happen is you had to go to a center to take up the test, but now the process is fully online. You can take up the TPO from the comfort of your home, and you need not travel. So it's a two-stage competition now, a prelims and the finals. The prelims are going on right now. Thousands of teachers from across the country, they've already taken up the test. There's 16 subject tracks available. You can choose any date, any time of your preference, and take the prelims. And the top 5,000 scorers will qualify for the finals that are going to be held in January 2021. Again, fully online. You need not travel anywhere. And as always, we've got exciting prizes for you. The cash awards and citation from Reliance Foundation. There are training opportunities from Oxford University Press, Tech Mahindra, Buckingham University, and of course for the top 5,000 scorers, and there are technology devices from Lenovo as well. So and for the top 5,000 scorers, you get training opportunities from CENTA, and you also get special offers and discounts from Lenovo. So yeah, so that's the prizes are secondary. More important is the whole experience of taking up the test. And and if you talk to teachers in the past who've taken up the test, they'll vouch for the quality of the questions and how interesting these questions are. So I've put that link in in the live chat section. So please go ahead and feel free to register yourself. And Neeru ma'am, congratulations once again. You'll hear from us soon. Please go ahead and take up the test at a time and date of your convenience. That's pretty much it from our side. Thank you once again, Prachi ma'am, wonderful having you with us, and I'm sure and I'm hoping that we have another session pretty soon. And we'd love to have you facilitate another session for us. That's pretty much it from our side. Now the next session is scheduled for next Thursday, and it's going to be about radio and radio and teachers. So I mean, another interesting session, and I'm sure all of you are going to love it. You'll hear from us on email soon about it. Registrations are open on my CENTA, m.centa.org from your mobile browser. Go ahead and register yourselves, and also encourage your friends and colleagues and everyone in your circle to register and attend the sessions. I'm sure they'd love it. Thank you once again. I hope you have a wonderful evening ahead. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Karthik. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I can leave the studio now?
Yes, ma'am.